Okay, so one of the biggest things that comes up again and again and again is objections to your fees. So it's such a hot topic. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to give you 3 different ways for you to handle objections, particularly to high fees. Okay, so I'm going to give you one that you can use at the start, really to disempower any future fee objection. I'll give you one if you haven't set it up properly. If you haven't done this one here, I'll give you 2 that will be to counter them if they come up with a fee objection later on. You're better to cover it up first. Okay, you ready? So, and at the end, by the way, all these objection scripts I'm going to give you, you can get them by typing script into the chat below or the comments below, and I'll get Aldrin to message you, and he will ask for your email address and ask you where to send the 52 scripts to. But I'm going to give you 3 now. Okay. First one. It's one I got from a guy called David. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, he was a sales trainer. Very good. So it's about you bringing it up in advance. So I guess if this is the start and this is the end, this is going to be very ghetto, right? So this is at the start before they even contact you and you get into the descriptions about fees. So what you say is hello, yeah, okay, you want me to come and look at a site or question me about this. Can I tell you something first about how we work? The first thing I'll say is we're not the cheapest in town. Are you looking for the cheapest designer or architect in town? Now, if they answer yes, you know what to do. Most of them won't have the courage to say yes, even if they kind of were. They'll say no. And you go, that's good, because we're not the cheapest in town and yet we are still very busy. Why do you think that is? And they'll say, oh, I don't know, is it because you're good at what you do? That's right. Right? So it's about pre-framing right at the start, before you even open any sort of engagement. It's about setting the expectations that you're not cheap, you're not going to be cheap. If you want out now because you're just after the cheapest, then now's the time to go. If they stay from that point on, they've kind of made a psychological contract with you that price isn't their number one criteria, right? Because, it looks silly if they come back later on and go, oh, someone was a bit cheaper, and you go, I said to you, we're not the cheapest. So anyway, that's one way of grabbing it at the start. Okay, let's say that it's come through now and someone's giving you an objection about price. This is number 2. Someone towards the end is giving you some sort of objection around price. Now what you say is, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to isolate the real objection. Because often when it comes to things like design fees, price is something which is often used to justify not going with you or to push you back. It's not always the real reason. It sometimes is the real reason, but often it's not the real reason. But it's a very easy thing to say someone else was cheaper. Now, why do we all use this? And you think about your situation, you use it too, you've used it too in the past, because the real reason is often a lot harder to say than giving a price reason, because a price reason is kind of an objective, not an objective, it is kind of objective. It's kind of, there's nothing I can do about it. You were $10 and they were $9, so therefore they're cheaper. What can I do? It's not you, it's the fact your price it's your price. Buyers are liars, right? So what you try and do is you isolate the real objection. So what you say is, okay, let's just put price to one side for a minute. Let's put price to one side for a minute. Is there any other reason that would stop us moving ahead if we came to an agreement where, the price that we're charging, that you're completely happy with that? Okay, so let's put that to one side. Is there any other reason why we can't go ahead? Now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to flush out the real reason. If they come back and they go, no, there's no reason why we couldn't go ahead if we sorted out the price, then you go, okay, well, should we sit down and see if we can work out some sort of agreement on price? And they'll go, yeah, right? In which case you can sit there and try and come to some agreement on price. But what you'll find in most situations is they'll go, so if we can address price and give you a price that you're completely happy with, let's just put that to one side. Is there any other reason why, if we can sort that out, why we couldn't continue? Yes, there is. Well, what is it? It's this, right? Now what they do is they give you a reason. This is more likely to be the real reason. But now what you do is you say this. You say, okay, let's just put price to one side. Let's put that to one side. Is there any other reason, if we sorted those two out, that we couldn't move ahead? Yeah, there's also this, right? Now this might be the real one, right? They might have given you a smoke screen here, smoke screen here. This is the real one. Now you're in a position to work out whether you can handle that or not. So it makes sense. You're in a position, and you can keep going until they stop. I mean, if they go, oh yes, there would be another reason, and you go, okay, well, assume I can handle that, assume I can handle that and that. If we could sort all those three out, let's put those to one side. Let's assume I can handle them. Would there be any other reason we couldn't go ahead? Right now, it's unlikely they're going to get past three, objections. But the key is you need to know what those the real objections are. Because then you can either handle them or you can't handle them. And chances are you probably can handle them. But if you can't, that's fine. At least you know what you're up against. You can't fight a ghost, right? But you can fight it once you turn the lights on and you've seen what's there, then you can address those issues, okay? So that's number 2. Third one is around someone comes back to you with price, and once again, if you haven't set things up and told them that I'm not the cheapest and all this type of stuff, the question now is they're saying, okay, someone else is cheaper. And the answer to that is, and we go into a value discussion, is what you're after the cheapest price or is it the best value? Don't talk after that, right? Even if it feels uncomfortable. Are you after the cheapest price or the best value? Now, if they say I'm after the cheapest price, yeah, okay, fair enough. Go get the cheapest price. Good luck with you. Most of them will say, no, actually, when you put it like that, I'm actually after the best value. Okay, because the cheapest price isn't necessarily always the best value, right? I mean, let's say I'm $10 and another architect is $9, but when I produce a project, it's worth $100, and when another architect produces their project, it's worth $90, right? You've saved $1. Let's say you've gone with the other architect, you've saved $1, but it's cost you $10. That's more expensive, isn't it? You've lost $10 because you've got an inferior design, or you've lost $10 worth of rent, right? Or you've lost $10 worth of livability. Okay, so if it's value you want, let's talk about what value is to you, what the most value, because my fee, quite frankly, my architect fee compared to the total value of the project is almost insignificant. And I'm going to draw you a little chart here. And it looks like this. Let's say, I told you this was ghetto. Let's say that's someone else's fee and this is my fee, okay? Then what I would draw, my fee's a bit higher. And if we do it visually, it always works well, right? Here's the value I typically deliver on a project, and here's the value a typical architect would develop. Now, the difference between their fee and my fee is not a hell of a lot, but the difference in value within the projects is a lot. Now the question is, what is value to you? We need to define what this is, and then I'm going to suggest you pick the architect or designer who can give you the best value. Forget their fees, because their fees will pale into insignificance when it's compared to the value that you're going to get. Okay, so what we're doing in that final situation is we're flipping the conversation to value. Flipping the conversation to value away from fees. And when you flip it to value, that is a conversation that you can win. You can't win if someone else is 20% cheaper, because what do you say? Oh, you know, don't worry about it. You know, they're majoring in minor things. The designer's fees is a minor thing in the context of a very big, expensive project, right? Your job is to help them focus on value, and then your job is to help them define value. No one else will be doing that. Okay, so you'll be having a conversation that no one else will be having. Right. Now, these scripts and 49 others are in a document that you can get. If you type in this post here, you just type in scripts. Then what I'll do is I'll get Aldrin to contact you. He will probably contact you and private message you and say, what's your email address? And then he will send you a copy of the Big Fee Bible scripts. Okay, 52 scripts around fees. You know, you just need the words. That's all you need sometimes. You need the right words, and this has got all the smartest words that I know and that I've picked up from trainers and anything else that's been worthwhile collecting. I've kind of put them into one document. It's a, you know, like very valuable document for an architect or designer or landscaper. I mean, it applies to all you guys, interior designers. Definitely worth getting. So just put in scripts. Aldrin will contact you, get your email address. He'll then send you the scripts. He'll also ask you what's your number one challenge outside price, because this will handle it with the scripts. But outside price, what's your number one challenge? And Aldrin has a little library of other resources that if he knows what you need, he will then send you one of those as well if you communicate with him and if you're nice to him. Okay, that's it. So hopefully that helps you with fee objections. Grab the scripts, and if you've got any comments, post them below. Feel free to post them below. Any responses you have when you get challenged on fees. I know it's a massive one for architects and designers, and it's something that it's one of those things you need to be armed in advance. You can't just turn up and do it from the seat of your pants. You need to have your script Bible with your scripts, and they need to be internalized. You need to know them off by heart, and you need to have internalized them as well. I'll just say one more thing about that. The best way to internalize these scripts, read through the scripts you get in the PDF, pick out the ones you like, and then the best advice I ever got was practice. If you've got any, and these are just, you know, sentences, they're not whole scripts. You don't have to go through whole scripts, but they're just a sentence or two for each objection around price. Practice them in the mirror, right? Because you can't stumble or mumble when it comes to fees. When you're talking about fees and overcoming objections, you need to be absolutely 100% certain with your body language, with your facial gestures, with your tone, and with what you say. It's not just what you say. I'll give you what to say, but I can't train you how to say it in a way which sounds like, you know, Brad Pitt or Kate Blanchett doing a magnificent performance in a movie. You practice it in front of the mirror, those lines, until you know them inside out. You don't have to think about them. And you practice the intonation. You practice like an actor, so that you say it in a way that when someone comes up with an objection and you come up with a boom, you're so solid and confident and assured in what you're doing that they have no defense against you. So practicing that in the mirror was the best advice I ever got for something. I can still remember exactly. For me, it was around quoting fees, around delivering fees. I'll do it now. You know, it's $16,000 for 6 people. And for every person over 6, it's $1,000 per person over that. So if you had 10 people in the group, it's 16,000 plus 4 would be $20,000 plus GST. GST in our country is what we have, right? I know it. I just practiced it in the mirror for like 20 minutes one day, and it was the best 20 minutes I've ever invested. So just another tip. You do need to do that as well. Right, thanks guys. Post something in the comment, post any comments or feedback you have below, and stay tuned. We've got more stuff coming to you.